So I feel privileged to have an audience like you, right? I feel privileged because it's not something I ever could have prepared for, but I also feel like, although this is a small little corner of the internet, that it's in some ways my responsibility to be hopeful, to spread good vibes whenever I have them. And it's been a fairly busy week, a fairly eventful week. We had some tornadoes come through last night that thankfully missed us and were weak, no injuries reported, but got really close. And it kind of shakes things up. It puts things into perspective for you a little bit. Earlier in the week, having a visit to the hospital with my mom, though she is doing okay. Just a general thing we wanted to kind of nip in the bud, if nothing else, right? But again, it sort of pulls you back into reality for a moment, that your existence isn't solely the things you enjoy, but sometimes it's the things you're not prepared for. And something that I've learned in life is that we share this world, our spaces, with people of every color. I'm not talking skin tone, although that's applicable here too, but I mean, like, I like to compare people like art, like the world is a canvas and each of us is a different shade of something, right? Because each of us has our own unique experiences, the things that make us who we are. We all have our mistakes, sure. We all don't always shine in our best light 100% of the time, and that's okay too. I think if everybody was perfect, the world would be a pretty boring place after all. But I've realized in life too that there are certain pathways that I think require less effort. And there's also some very silly paths that require less effort too. In a lot of ways, it can be easy to naively accept the fact that some people are generally just going to be bad, hateful, hating on people that they may have never met, if only for the sole reason they've never experienced them before. But that's one of the reasons why I'm so grateful for the platform that I have, because I know from my own experience that I could have been one of those people, but I've chosen not to be. Not for anybody else's reasons, but my own. I want to be understanding. I know that there are so many lifetimes that I will never and can never experience. There are so many events that I can never fully understand, but that's because they're other people's events, right? Those events, those identities, those people are valid in who they say they are. And who am I to judge that? Who am I to think other? Even if it was my place, why would that be important? At the end of the day, though, there are so many people who I've heard such like heartfelt stories from when I do speak out on general issues, of course, who are just the kindest, like sweetest people you'd ever imagine. And it's crazy to think about because these people are often on the receiving end of so much hate based solely on how they identify, whether they be trans or LGBTQ or whatever the case may be. And I know there's some redundancy there too. But the point I'm trying to get at is that we are all somebody to someone, right? We are all loved by somebody. We're all who we are inside. It's not an appearance thing. It's not for anybody else to define who we are, because in so doing, they've taken that path of less effort, right? And it's crazy to think too. I don't want to get into like political stuff in this video because it's not the purpose here. Again, I'm wanting to spread like good vibes in this video, generally speaking. But it's funny how the same people that want to take rights away from somebody based on where they come from, based on the color of their skin, based on how that person identifies, are the first people to try and cite like Martin Luther King as like some, great hero of theirs, even though they'll often rewrite his own history or sometimes throw him under the bus. And it's disgusting. And the same people who do this, who want to take rights away from these people, stop at the line where it means like you're paying less into that system, right? They want the system to give less to those people, but they don't want the system to receive less from those people. And I always find that kind of baffling to me. It's very telling, right? Anyway, getting ahead of myself here. And I did record this video previously going down sort of a different path, but I did get a little bit busy towards the end, so I had to kind of end it a little abruptly. That's, for all intents and purposes, we are all subject to our own past. And this is something that I realize now more than ever, because I've been doing a little bit of a series in my own time, recording, right? Where I've been kind of like reminiscing about my past, bionicle stories and things like that from my past and how those tie into who I am today. Though I haven't really posted too many of those videos yet, and I've still got plenty more to post because I have a long and colored history of my own. I also understand that through that reminiscing, it's also led me to remember, other aspects of who I used to be. And it's funny too, because I think this maybe applies to most of us. But if we reflect on ourselves right now and then do the same against ourselves from the past, I think generally speaking, on first glance, we may think we are still the same person we used to be, maybe grown from there, sure, but I think we're quick to come to the conclusion we still have the same beliefs. And maybe some of us do. Maybe some of us have not reflected on who we are or our path. But I like to believe that people are always transforming, always changing, always becoming more true to themselves as time goes on, right? At the same time, though, I do recognize that if I knew in my past what I know now, who I am now, who I was going to become, I think in my past I would have believed that it would have been through the efforts of my past self. But I know now that that's not the case because I believed some pretty stupid shit in my past, right? I grew up with some dumb beliefs, if only because of the people I surrounded myself in with, the family I grew up around. That's not a knock on them by any means. And the general circumstance of growing up in a trailer and being mostly an introvert, right? Liking to keep to myself, but still being involved with other people who often brought drama onto themselves and by proxy onto me and the people I cared about. Now I've grown more independent, grown stronger and more willing to just say no to those types of people. It's why I keep my circle, if you will, so close knit. It's why I consider myself to have I've got, a few hundred people on Discord that I chat with, but in terms of real friends, just a few. And I like it that way because again, they're the people that I've come to know and respect and love over years, sometimes the better part of a decade. And there are people from my past who, have come and gone just like every one of us has, right? Who I still maybe in that moment had some kind of falling out with them. I can remember being a kid and having my best friend literally down the road, and we got into a fight because of playing hide and go seek. It was such a dumb thing, and I never went to that friend's house again because I just wanted to make a point and be spiteful. Again, very toxic behavior, but I was I don't know, 8 or 9 or something like that. It was nothing they did wrong. It was something that I did, and in part out of just sheer jealousy. I made a dumb decision, said and did stupid things out of sheer jealousy. Because I guess I can analyze it, I wanted to, I don't know, be seen as the good guy in that scenario when I was very clearly the villain. That said, like I said, we all have our own histories. We all have our own colors that we bring to that color palette, going back to the metaphor of a painting or analogy of a painting, I guess. And yet, I think it's those very colors, those mistakes we've made, the things we've said in the heat of the moment, stupid things, that are what make us who we are. Not because we haven't learned from them, but because we have. Because we've experienced them, they've forced us to grow, forced us out of the shell we may have been in at that point in time, and forced us away from, if not in the moment, later, the denial of the situation that was right in front of us then. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it made sense to me. The point I'm trying to get at is that there's no one out there that can tell you the color you're supposed to be when clearly it's different. It'd be like someone trying to go out there and call you the wrong name, right? Nobody likes that. And yeah, the first time might be a mistake, but after a while, it's disrespectful. It's, again, out of a denial of who you are as a person. You're you. You're beautiful. You're valid. You are exactly the person you say you are. And though you may not know exactly who you are yet, we're all on our own path to wherever the destination may be. I'm not even sure we ever truly reach that destination, but we are always, I don't know, picking up a rock in the creek along the way just to see what lies underneath. Maybe that's a silly one. All right. So that's going to be it, I think, for this video. Hopefully we ended on a little bit of a lighter note in accordance to myself. Thankfully, yeah, yesterday we did have some tornadoes go through, but they were all very mild. As far as I know, no injuries reported, so I'm like super thankful for that. But one did come pretty close to us, so, you know, it was... it's unnerving, but it is, it's the reality of, you know, living with something so forceful as nature and what we do to it sometimes. On top of that, on the plus side, I didn't want to address the whole staph infection thing. I assume that's what it is. Never got a formal diagnosis, but like it presents the way I would expect it to. Anyway, point being, does seem to be doing better, does seem to actually be somewhat clearing up. So I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that it goes away soon because I'm tired of it. Not in any pain, thankfully, not in any, I'm not under the weather, not ill in any other ways, thankfully. So, you know, that's all you can hope for sometimes. All right, that's going to be it for me. If you want to check out the Patreon, Discord, and Instagram, all those are linked down in the description below. And again, like and subscribe. I know I said it, but I'll say it again. Take care.